folks, you are more than welcome this beautiful spring morning to the Coffee with Colin show featuring none other than Nicola Connolly Byrne. We're going to talk to Nicola in a second, but I just want to let you know, I reckon today's going to be great crack, and we're supposed to get this thing done in 20, 25 minutes, but Nicola has said there's no way it's going to happen in 20, 25 minutes, but we'll do our best, right? The basic format is we're going to have with Nicola for 20, 25 minutes or so, and then if you've got questions, please, I hope you've got a notebook in front of you, write down anything that comes to mind, nuggets of wisdom, and any questions you might have. We'll do a 10-minute Q&A towards the end, if that's okay. So you're very welcome. Let me just tell you about Nicola, not that she needs much introduction, but the name of Nicola's business is I Am Positive Mindset. What does Nicola teaches? Nicola teaches her toolbox to people and businesses. How long established? Great answer to this. Since the day I was born, I registered myself as a business 4 years ago. So you were 21 at the time, Nick. How many employees? Outsourced team of 3 on a part-time basis, which I communicate with daily. For workshops, we need about 12 people. Happy days. An introduction for the host. Nicola Connolly Byrne is a multi-award winning empowerment specialist. She helps people and businesses become the best possible version of themselves by sharing with them consciousness tools so they can operate from a value-based space. I think any of us that know you, Nicola, would agree with that wholeheartedly. And here's something really interesting, something nobody knows about you. Not positive all of the time, with about 17 different exclamation marks. I love it. I love it. Nicola Connolly Byrne, please tell the assembled good and great. By the way, folks, if your microphone is muted, would you oblige and mute it, please? Thank you. So Nicola Connolly Byrne, please tell the assembled good and great, who is Nicola Connolly Byrne, before and outside of I Am Positive Mindset?
It's funny that you say that, Colin, because there's no difference. And this is actually part of my teaching, is that if you feel like you need to be different in certain circles, there's a really big problem, because that means that you have to wear a mask professionally, or a mask with family, or a mask when you're out in your community. And masks are very heavy, and they drain a lot of your energy. So I remember those days when I used to have a couple of masks when I was a teenager, but I learned very quickly that that didn't serve me very well. So I had to remove all of the masks and just arrive as I was. Now, I wasn't addicted to being like that. I wasn't like that all the time. I was like that in for short periods of time. Because yeah, I kind of just arrive as I am, and this is as good as it's getting, Mr. O'Brien.
It's pretty cool though. Fair play.
Yeah.
So that's who you are. That's a really good answer, by the way. You know, you're no different to who you are when you're.
I'm really not, Colin, because
yeah, no, I get that.
If you know me personally, you've seen me on camera, you've attended my workshops, people who meet me in the street, or if I go and speak in a business, it's the same. There's no people comment on all that all the time. Like, people stop me in Penny's going, "You're exactly the same in real life as you are when you're speaking on YouTube," and I'm like, there's no point in being any other way. Sure, I wouldn't know who I was.
I love it. I love it. So it's possible that there's somebody on this call or somebody who watched this video who doesn't know Nicola Connolly Byrne. I know, shock horror, but
there's plenty of them out there, Colin. You don't be worrying about that.
No, but so a little more then about you, background, family, if you don't mind, whatever you feel like sharing to just.
Yeah. So Colin and I actually discovered recently that we're both from the same place. Yeah. And that was a shocker. I couldn't believe that. But I grew up in Edenmore. I didn't go to school where I was from. I had to walk to school. Just one of them Angela's Ashes stories. I had to walk to school every day, 40 minutes and 40 minutes home. Very hard working class area, high unemployment at the time. I just did all I could do to try and better myself. Career-wise from a very, very young age, and I talked my way into every single job I ever had. I always did well in every job I ever had when I was in employment. I was always promoted. I was always headhunted. And I was in IT. I launched Xbox for Asia when I was working for Microsoft. I managed the political science department in Trinity College. I did loads of really interesting things, and then decided to become a full-time mammy when Jamie made me a mammy back in 2005. And he was born really unwell. So it was one or the other column. It was him or the job. And I chose him, obviously.
Of course. Uh, thank you for sharing that. I wasn't fully aware of that, Nicola. So
Yeah.
I appreciate you sharing that.
Yeah.
But that's part of what makes you who you are. And there isn't anybody on this call who hasn't got stuff that has shaped them for better.
Absolutely.
We assume for better in everybody's case, but we've all had stuff. So I think it's really important that people are willing to admit to, my life isn't perfect. My life isn't perfect.
Yeah.
My life isn't perfect. But
when people do that column, it's the most freeing thing on earth. People really feel like, and I know this because I've dealt with a lot of people, I couldn't say that. Oh God, no, I couldn't ever admit that. And it's those kinds of things that are heavy on your heart. And I suppose one of the reasons why I stopped fear and judgment a couple of years ago is because I knew that if I was fully me, leaned fully into being me, warts and all, that it gives other people permission to do the same. And, when people do hear about part of my backstory, they say, Jesus, we had this image of you that you had this perfect life and look this way all the time. No.
But you see, I'm glad to hear you say that, because I think that's part of the problem at the moment, right? I think there's too many people out there online and offline portraying the fact that life is absolutely perfect and don't you wish you were me? If you were me, life would be great for you. But it's true. I think we need to go out warts and all and say, do you know what? And I'll be honest, this morning I woke up low. I had to go out for a walk just to get my head in the game.
Yeah.
And there was no real reason for me to waking up low, but there's a statue of Our Lady down there, and I went down and said 10 Hail Marys because I needed it. I needed to ground myself, and we're going to be fine. We're going to be fine.
But even from an aesthetic point of view, Colin, I was really excited this morning getting ready to come to work to be interviewed by Colin, because I felt like, Jesus, this is the first time I have an opportunity to get me groove on here on camera since I've been in lockdown. But I had no problem arriving last week to Coffee with Colin at 11 o'clock, rocking up in my pajamas, because that's what I was doing at the time.
Yeah, it was, for those that don't know, Nicola has joined Coffee with Colin each morning, coffee at 11, and she's in the background cutting flowers and doing stuff in the kitchen, walking around in her pajamas, and it's so freeing. Fair play to her. So Iron Positive Mindset, you registered it 4 years ago. I know it didn't start quite out in the shape that it has ended up. Tell us a little about that, please, Nick.
Yeah, so as I was saying, when I gave up my career to take care of Jamie, he was really ill. He had a rare disease called laryngomalacia, which is a floppy larynx, and he used to forget how to breathe. So he was on a breathing monitor for about 2 years, and there's an alarm involved. It was a very scary time, but we got through it. But I wanted to understand how energy worked in his body. So I went and I studied Reiki over a 4-year period, because I wanted to fully understand how energy worked in his body and in the world. So started practicing from home, had a couple of clients, built into a lot of clients. And then over time, very organically and with zero plan behind any of this, by the way, lads. I'm just following me gut the whole time. A client, I started giving out these tools that I had designed for myself, because I started writing when I was about 7. And I didn't realize that when I was writing when I was 7, I was actually writing a business plan of tools that I would use with my own clients in 30 years time or whatever, 25 years time. So I started imparting this knowledge and try this trick and maybe do this bit of writing. And I remember the day that there wasn't a minute to get this particular client up onto the table, because I knew what a client coming in behind her. And we'd just been sharing these tools. And I said, Jesus, I'm so sorry. I didn't have an opportunity to do any Reiki on you. And she said, no. I liked that. Whatever that was now, I'm coming back next week for that. And I was like, oh, goodness. So I spoke to my mentor, who convinced me to stop practicing Reiki and just continue with the tools with people, because that's organically where it was going. And I fought it and said, no, I could never do that. Sure. Who am I? What do I know? The usual when you take out the whip and you start self-lacerating. And it took me a little while to get with that, because he knew what he was doing. He poked the bear. He used the word inauthentic.
Ooh,
Oh, he did.
lousy,
He did. He said,
lousy.
yeah, but in fairness to him, he knew what he was doing, Colin.
I
So
like his style.
yeah, very clever man. So he said, if you're saying you're doing one thing and you're actually doing another, you're being inauthentic, Nicola. So that made me very angry. So I had to sit with that. And when I decided, yeah, Nicola, you know, if you're saying one thing and doing another, that's not in line with your value system because that's not congruent with who you are. You need to sort this out. So I changed the business name a couple of times over the space of about a week, and decided on I am positive mindset, because through Eckhart Tolle's teachings and Wayne Dyer's teachings, whatever you say after I am is what you become, and that's what you're manifesting for yourself. So as soon as I changed the business name to I am positive mindset, there was an 8-week waiting list to come and see.
Incredible, incredible. You said something earlier, Nick, which I thought was really interesting. You said there was zero plan then, there's zero plan now, right? And I get that, but I'll put it out to you that I think you're divinely led. I think you've got a role to play, and you weren't playing that role, and that's why you're in this place. And you've, in my opinion, you've just made yourself available. You said, okay,
sure.
What do you want me to do?
Yeah.
And, well, this is what the universe wants of Nicola Connolly Byrne at this time. And by the way, you're doing great.
Thank you.
So
but yeah, I just literally listen to what my clients' needs are.
Okay.
Like I remember one time I was out for a run, and I was listening to Katy Perry, the song Unconditionally You. And she in that song is singing it to a guy, but I started singing it to myself. And everybody who's on this call, I want you to go and listen to that song, and I want you to read the words to yourself, okay? I started sobbing. When the tears come, Colin, I know that I'm on to a winner. Or if the hairs on the top of my head stand up, I know I'm on to a winner. So I have to run with that, because that's what guides me. I'm guided very much by my emotion. So I said to myself, wouldn't it just be wonderful now if I could get all of my clients to sing that song to themselves? And that's when the idea for the first workshop came. So went home, wrote the workshop in about an hour. It literally was verbal diarrhea. It all came out of me, very organically. And said that I was going to put on this workshop. It was in a beautiful building here in Drogheda, Richmond Fort, very, very old building. And it sold out within a couple of days. And I couldn't believe this, Colin. Like, I kept announcing on social media, 10 tickets left, lads, 9 tickets left, lads. And it literally rolled like that. I think there was 70 tickets available at the time, or 75 maybe. And that went down, you know, it just, I played a stormer, if I don't mind saying it. And everybody loved it. And I mean, loved it. Something very special happened in that room that day. And I don't think I'll ever be able to replicate it. But there was a girl sitting in the audience, and I knew her sister from school. And she called me later that day and said, Nicola, see what you just did there for those people in that room. I need you to come to my business, and I need you to do that for my team. Can you do that? And I said, yeah, no problem. This is what I mean about no plan, Colin.
Yeah, get it.
So my very first business client was Electric Ireland.
Wow, fantastic.
You know, I normally pay them. They don't normally pay me.
Yeah, it's I love it. I always believe if you do the right job, if you're of service over here somewhere with a group like you were with your group in Drogheda, karma is looking over here for where it needs to take you next.
Absolutely.
I think, you know, I wrote a blog last year called Stop Selling, Start Serving. And I think that's what you do naturally, Nicola. You just serve. And
oh, absolutely, Colin. I've always lived a life of service.
Okay. And then what very interestingly happens, because you serve continuously and without any ask in return, the universe says, okay, Nicola, here's somebody who wants to buy your service. So happy days. So come here.
Absolutely, 100%.
That's absolutely fantastic. And it's a great picture to bring us up to how the thing kick-started and it began to explode, and it's been wonderful to date. And then,
yeah, thank you.
Then 12 days ago, right?
Yeah.
The effective lockdown. I'm measuring this, by the way, on the basis that the schools are closed, because my business is shut down as a result of the schools being closed. So as you said earlier, so 12 days ago, the world changed like that. So again, the reason I'm asking the question is everybody on this call here has some fears around what's going on. Everything might have been going swimmingly or not. 12 days ago, it changed for us all. Where are you now? And then we why you're remaining positive for the future.
Yeah. So like 12 days ago, like this started for me more than 12 days ago, Colin, because, having a child that's been very ill and nursing people while they're dying, or, seeing, I unfortunately have a lot of people belong to me who've passed away. So I have a massive respect for bacteria and viruses. I 100% respect all bacteria and viruses, because they, they're not choosy with who they will infect. So, I knew the seriousness of this because I was watching what was going on in China. And I genuinely, and you see, this is putting my head on other people's shoulders, and that gets me into trouble sometimes. I genuinely thought that Leo Varadkar about 4 or 5 weeks ago would have shut the borders, because if we had to shut the borders, we wouldn't be in the situation that we're in now. So if I was aerial management, that's what I would have done, but I'm not. So my cue for me being able to go into lockdown was the schools. So as soon as I heard that announcement, I actually drove to the schools and took my kids out of school. And I rang Neil Byrne and I said, get yourself home, pal. Because Neil has a compromised immune system, hence why we are in full lockdown. So I have to do everything in my power to be able to protect him, because I want to have a husband and I want to have 2 healthy children. So my first box that I had to tick was to make sure that they were going to be okay. That was paramount. First and foremost, they were getting looked after. Get them home, get them grounded, and explain the magnitude of what was happening.
Okay.
So I did get a bit of feedback for about 48 hours, I won't lie to you. And
translate feedback, whatever we wish.
yeah. Mainly from the man of the house, Colin, and he'll admit that himself. Okay, I'll interview him about that further down the road in about 6 months' time. Right. But when I got everybody settled and everybody was appreciating the magnitude of it, then I had to say, right, Nick, what's happening here with your business? And within 3 days, every single booking gig that I had to speak for the next 4 or 5 months was cancelled like that. Empty diary, gone. Every bit of a column.
Yeah, get it.
Okay?
Yep.
Every single workshop that myself and my team had been working on for the last 6 months, all of that work, gone. Like that. Called a meeting with the team. We had a meeting literally like this on Zoom. And I said, this is what we're going to do. Half of my business is online anyway, Colin, so I know I'm in a very privileged position because I've already cracked this. I would have one-to-one clients that don't live in Ireland, so they're not flying to me, although one of them did one time and I thought it was mental, and fair play to her. But, they're not going to fly to me on a regular basis. So I would have Zoom calls with them like this on a one-to-one basis. On Amanda Delaney's recommendation last year, when I wanted to just fit in one more workshop, I just felt like I had one more workshop left in me towards the end of last year. And I was like, but we don't have the time to plan it. And Amanda was like, bring it online. Do what you always do. I was like, oh my God, you're a genius. So Amanda Delaney was totally ahead of the curve with bringing our workshops online. So we did that, and that was really successful. We did that last November, I think it was. And that was brilliant. So yeah, I won't lie to you, Colin. When you're projecting what your income is going to be for the next 6 months, and you've worked hard at earning the amount of money that you need to sustain your business, because people who are in business need money to manage the business. I have people who depend on me. I have rent to pay. I have insurance to pay. I have to pay for Zoom like you do. All of these things. And there's no way that I would ever let any of my team down. I mean, I can't do what I do unless I have them.
Yeah, of course.
If I didn't have Marina Brannigan, if I didn't have Thomas Bartlett, if I didn't have Leanne Caffrey, this ain't happening, lads. So I had to make, obviously with the projections and watching the income just plummet to literally near zero, was frightening. But I'm lucky because I have online membership groups for guys and for girls where we do personal development on a really deep level. That's all done online. I'm going to do an online workshop starting next Friday. That's complimentary. The following 3 modules after that will be paid, and that's fine. But I'm really, really lucky that I've half cracked this column. I was frightened. I was scared. I did cry, but I allowed myself feel that for a short period of time, and then I did what I always did and always do, which is I remembered who I was, and the game changed because I'm just leaning in now, Colin.
Well said, Nicola. Yeah, I'm glad you went there. Thank you for that, because that's really what I wanted to do with this series. Everybody's hurting, and everybody's certain. You and me both, right? And that's what I want to get real people on for a chat over a cup of coffee, to let everybody else who chooses to join in know that they're not alone, and that you get tears, and you shed tears, and so did I. And, you know, our school meals business was shut down, 120 people, me included, with no income for the foreseeable. So we've got to reinvent at a rate of knots. In fact, it's as a direct result of that, this coffee at 11 thing has been born as a direct in response to that. So there's opportunity everywhere. But I was delighted and thankful that I needed you to go to that point where everybody realizes it's not perfect. And by the way, I'm hurting too. So that's where we're all at now, right? And the real question, the next question is, so what is keeping you buoyant, and what do you see when we come out the far side when the veil lifts, please?
Well, this is what's keeping me buoyant, is that every single member of my private membership groups, both female and male, have stayed. And that shows to me the level of service at which I offer in there, and their loyalty, okay? Not only have they all stayed, a couple of people got in touch with me and asked me, could they come back? Because people need support and community right now. And I was never so pleased. I was like, because I always say to them, I'd be delighted when people leave, because I know that they've graduated in their mind and they have all the tools that they need to be able to move on. But I always say to them, the door isn't closed here for you now. The door will be left ajar, and we leave the landing light on. And if it's closed, there'll be a key under the mat. So you don't worry about that. You're always welcome home.
That's a beautiful analogy. Doors ajar, the landing light's on, and the keys under the mat. Very nice,
yeah. It's very important that people know that they're always welcome back if they choose to come back. And how I'm staying buoyant is literally through the private membership groups and through doing one-to-ones like this with people, which I love. Now, you know, when people sign up with me to do that, to do it on Zoom, I always say to them, if you live very far away, can you just come for the first session? Because I think it's very important to make that connection. Unfortunately, I can't do that now, and we have to do our first sessions via Zoom. But all of those new clients that I've taken on in the last 2 weeks, I am really looking forward to meeting them in person after all of this. But that's what I'm doing to stay buoyant right now. But I have loads of plans in the pipeline of what's coming down in the next couple of weeks, Colin, which is really exciting.
Fantastic. And so is your expectation the same as mine, that this thing will end at some point? Have you any idea how long you think we're going to be in this strange situation?
My projection is that from now we will be on full lockdown for about 4 months. And I believe after that point, we're all going to have lots of parties and lots of hugs, and that'll all be wonderful. However, there will be a reinfection point at that stage. And that's what I believe, just because of my knowledge of bacteria and viruses and how they work, that there will be a small period of reinfection at that stage, but it won't be anywhere near as bad as what we're going to experience in the next 2 weeks. What we're going to experience in the next 2 or 3 weeks will be the hardest. That's where we will be the hardest hit, because everybody's in an incubation period right now. Okay.
Yeah, look, you know, I won't say I'm delighted to hear what you just said, but again, you're just being honest. This is your for the world. 4 months a long time, but it's quite possible. I've called this World War C. You know, World War II, people were locked out of their homes and out of their businesses for years at a time. They had to reinvent at a rate of knots, and of course, lots of people lost their lives. World War Z, the movie, found really interesting. I don't like zombie movies, but I thought that was a particularly good one. And you just didn't know who you were standing beside who was going to go zombie and kill you. Likewise,
Absolutely.
who you're standing beside.
It's exactly the same.
Who's infected, yeah. So we got to be careful out there. But you feel that it will end, and when it ends, it's going to be great, and we'll be different, and you'll be different, and your business will have evolved. Is that fair to say?
It is, because we're always saying in business groups that I'm involved in, you know, are you working on the business or are you working in the business? And because my business is so flat out all the time, I have very little time to be able to work on the business because I'm working in the business flat all 24/7 nearly. So now I have an opportunity to just breathe and go, okay, where am I going with this now? You know, what other intentions do I have behind this? And my intention in the next couple of weeks is all of the packages that I've ever offered to big multinational businesses is to literally do it like this online. So that's what I'm doing this week, is contacting all of my old business clients and contacting new people to say, look, I know that you're desperate for positive mindset for your teams. Arrive Connolly.
I love it. I love it. Okay, Nicola, one question that we haven't, I didn't send you this when I sent you the questionnaire to get your head in the game, right?
Yeah.
You told me a really interesting story the other day about a doll. Do you want to touch on the doll?
Okay.
If you prefer not to, that's fine.
No, I can touch on the doll if you want. Okay, so there was, on the week of International Women's Week, I heard a wonderful girl by the name of Deborah Someren speak, and she literally blew my socks off. She blew my socks off. And I have offered my time to Deborah on a voluntary basis. This is, again, the service column and how things come around, you know. She set up a charity basically to help people who are very vulnerable, young teenage mothers, people who have come out of foster homes and all that kind of crack. So I'm basically putting all of my content together to teach one of the leaders in this home. It's not up and running yet, but when it is. So when I teach all of my stuff to one of the leaders in the home, that they will be able to teach it to the kids coming in behind them. It would be like a positive pyramid system, okay? Because there's no point in me going in and teaching it once and leaving it there. I want that to have longevity. So off the back of that, Deborah got in touch with me about a week and a half ago to say, listen, I am involved with Lottie Dolls, who you know the owner of, Colm. And Lottie Dolls are based on real life people with real life bodies and real life challenges. So there'll be a doll that's based on my very good friend Jack Kavanagh, who is wheelchair bound. There will be a doll based on Deborah Someren herself, who will be the empowerer, because she is an empowerer. There'll be a doll that will have a limb deficiency. There's a doll that has, you know, like a challenge that is an unseen challenge, like Asperger's or autism or something along those lines. But then there's going to be a doll that is called the Upstander doll. And I have been invited to write the narrative of what the Upstander doll is. And I'm honoured and I'm privileged to be able to do that for them. So what the Upstander doll is that she stands up for the small fry, and that she helps anybody who is being bullied and is not afraid to stand out and be different. And it's basically going to be based on my character.
Hey, this, by the way, is the deaf community clap. So let's give Barbie Connolly Byrne.
It's the opposite of Barbie. It's the opposite of Barbie.
Forgive me, I'm being facetious. It is the opposite.
I know you are.
I get that. Yeah, I met the owner of Lottie Dolls some time back. Actually, one of our groups, our 10X club in Donegal, and his original doll was based on dwarfism. That was the original doll that he created. And it's a really interesting concept. So and again, it goes back to what we spoke about earlier, is about being real. Yeah. So you know, people are measuring themselves against some impossible standard that's out there.
Yeah,
been set up by all these influencers, and it doesn't exist. Like,
no.
You know? And if it exists in some beautiful man or woman's life for 3 years while they're beautiful, and you know, Adonis, like, fine. But after that, what's going to happen?
If your heart doesn't match your external beauty, you're in for big challenges.
For sure, 100%. So Nicola, we're going to go to Q&A from the floor in just one minute, right? And before we do, one tip, because everybody's in this together, what would you say to your nearest and dearest? One thing.
Yeah, I would say invent yourself a really strong self-care plan. And when I say self-care, I do not mean your hair, your makeup, your nails, your waxing. That's not what I mean. That's external self-care. It is important, but it is not imperative. What's imperative is internal self-care, okay? Your mind, your heart, your soul, your gut, your breathing, your meditation, your journaling, set an intention in the morning, setting intentions of your life. I don't leave my bedroom without setting an intention.
Okay.
Because I've already decided that this is going to be your best coffee with Colin ever.
Love it.
I'm joking.
I love it. It could be. I'm delighted to have you on. So Nick, that's a wonderful tip. Actually, by the way, when you got to the waxing, I was thinking too much information, Nick, too much.
I was talking about you lads. You guys are mad into waxing.
Apparently,
I'm telling you, you guys are worse than us. My two boys take forever to get ready in this house, much longer than me.
Okay. Come here, folks. Who would like to ask Nicola a question? If you do, I'll just wave at the camera and I'll unmute you for a second. I see Miss Amanda Delaney there. Was actually first in, Amanda, with a question. Your buddy. Let me just unmute you here if I can. 2 seconds. Amanda Delaney, you're live.
Good morning, folks.
Morning, pal.
Well done, Colin. What an initiative. This has been fantastic. I've really enjoyed the interviews.
Thank you, Amanda.
And brilliant. I love hearing Nicola's story. I don't think she tells it often enough about where she came from, her background, which is fabulous.
I think people are bored listening to it at this stage, Amanda.
Yeah.
I think we move so far ahead in our business that we presume that, but then we move on to the next story and the next story, whereas you very seldom tell people that part of the story, the very beginning. You know, so it was great to hear that, and I hope people, you know, really benefit that change. You see, it's all about change. That was a tough time for you, and you had to change, and this is where we find ourselves now. It's in this uncertain time. I'm actually sitting here typing because I'm about to really launch my landing page now and my new online virtual mentoring and groups and everything. So like, it is a matter of, you said self-care. I too have had my wobbles. I've just had a WhatsApp message, sadly, from my two sisters in the UK who have been working as normal, living as normal, and both now today have signs of COVID. So it's uncertain times, it's scary times. I have great faith. I'm just going to keep praying that, you know, they have wisdom now and they isolate and they get better. But I'm still sitting at my desk working.
Yeah.
I'm not going into panic mode or, you know, worrying mode, because it won't change a thing.
No.
Yeah. We got to take steps towards something, just keep moving somehow, and the path will unfold. That's key. You know, if you take a step, every step you take, the vista changes very slightly. So
my question to Nicola is, what is in your mindset, or how do you start to plan when uncertainty hits? So what's your first go-to step when something like a wave hits?
Okay, I get still. I get really still. I put my hand on my gut and I say, okay, thank you, challenge, for coming. What are you here to teach me? Because every challenge brings a lesson. And I know that if I get still and I listen, you know, Super Mario years ago, when he'd go on to the next level, he'd go diddle-a-ding, diddle-a-ding. I know that that's what's happening. The gold coins are coming for me to go up to the next level. Diddle-a-ding. So get still and listen to if you get panicky in a challenge and are being a BMW and moaning and whinging and complaining and finger pointing, you're learning nothing, okay? When you're talking, you're not listening. So I listen the challenge and I take the information that it's taught me and I move to the next level.
Brilliant.
Great
Excellent.
question.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Amanda. Anybody else who's got a question, wave at the screen there. Really? I don't think you're all that shy.
No, they're not.
They're not that shy. Is that you, Sarah? Are you waving at the camera? Would you like to?
Okay, all right. Yeah, I did panic a little bit at the beginning of all this because of the fact that I would have an autoimmune condition. My immune system is very poor. It would have, I'd be prone to kind of things like pneumonia and stuff. So there was a kind of a panic, but then I like she said, you know, you just have to kind of go, right, let's step back here and just kind of say, right, let's take it one step at a time. But it's still getting into my dreams, and that's where it comes out in me. If I have an asthma attack or whatever, I'll deal with it straight away, but I can't stop it getting into my dreams, and I'll have a nightmare about choking in my dreams. Like, how do you stop that fear getting to your subconscious?
Okay. I have an autoimmune disease as well, Sarah. I have pernicious anemia. So I fully understand where you're coming from, and my husband also has a very rare form of asthma. So your fears aren't, they're warranted. You have a genuine concern, but if you use that as your benchmark, and you're clever, and you're not putting yourself in any danger right now, you know that you are doing everything that is in your control. For you to be able to stay well, and knowing that, like you have to know that, like, you know the back of your own hand. And when you run off into fear and think about things that aren't actually happening for you right now, that's ego. So when you're not living in the moment, when you're projecting into the future or mulling over the past, that's you robbing yourself of the present moment. So I have a question for you, Sarah, actually. Are you practicing meditation right now?
Yeah, I am actually twice a day, and I'm actually going to up it a bit more. Because I find that, like, especially at night, I find like you have to stay up to date with this, but I've downed it to one kind of news reel a day, right?
Yeah.
But still, I find when you're hearing, like yesterday, what threw me was that there was, I think they said something like 40,000 people still waiting for a test.
Yeah, there is.
That threw me because I was kind of going, geez, that's a lot of people, you know?
Yeah. So if we take a practical approach to this, Sarah, right? Like, we need to put our practical hats on now. Write a list of if I were you, I would write a list of the things that you can control, and write a list of the things that you can't control. And the stuff that you can control, do that stuff really, really well, so you know that you're keeping yourself healthy and safe, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. And the stuff that you can't control, you have to hand that over. Hand that over. Hand it to me. I'll take it off you. No problem.
I love that. Sarah, thank you for that lovely question, and Nicola, great response. And I love that. Nicola will take it from you because she'll pass it on. All right, Nick.
Thank you.
No bother.
Thank you.
Edwina Flynn has found the way to magically put her hand up without her camera on. So Edwina Flynn, I'm going to unmute you here. Looking forward to your question.
How do I get my camera on, Colin? This is all. Hold on.
Not sure what device you're using. We can hold on a second. You've muted yourself again. Right. You're
on mute. Okay.
Okay. So go with that. Go with that.
Right. Okay. Hi, Nicola. Hi, Colin.
Hi, Edwina, darling. How are you keeping?
I'm very good. So this is our first day here. We closed the office to the public on Friday. So we are on a 2-week not open to the public, working from home, and I'm homeschooling as well. So all change, but all good, and a great way to start the week with your interview with Colin. So it set me off to a fantastic start.
Brilliant.
My question is, I suppose, to keep your team here I am, motivated.
Good girl, Edwina. Look at you now, knocking it out of the park.
Yeah, to keep your team motivated at work, to stay connected with them, and keep them empowered. I've seen one guy that I work alongside with, and he's really stepped up to the mark. But I think it's just useful for people in business, because this is lonely. It's lonely for us all, but more so for people that you know, haven't been used to this sort of, well, none of us have been used to it, but what's your tips for trying to keep your team motivated, empowered and connected?
Okay, brilliant question, Edwina. Thanks so much for asking that. The first thing that I'll say to you is get yourself a Zoom account whereby you can have a Zoom call at 9 o'clock every morning with your team. And
Okay.
if I were you, I would do this. Do you remember we did the stop, start, continue?
Yeah.
So ask them what they want to stop, what they want to start, what they want to continue. Ask everybody in the room to bring a positive news story, because that's the energy that we need to be focusing on, Edwina, okay? Because what we focus on expands. Now, I know that I was saying to Colin at the start of this interview that I rocked up last week at coffee with Colin at 11 o'clock in my pajamas. That's because I was working till 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning, fielding emails from people who are really, really scared. Not everybody is in that position. However, what I will say to you is ask your team to stay in the exact same routine as they would have before. Get up, get themselves, you know, I'm not going to rock up to work like this with Colin in my PJs. I rocked up in a bright pink shirt because that's the energy that I want to be giving off, okay? Ask them to, you know, have themselves prepped for work. You'll be able to see whether they have their shit together when you see them on the screen. And that we're going to focus on what we can do and not on what we can't do. As I said to Sarah, hand over the stuff that's out of your control. Keep yourself in a good routine. I sat down with the family there 2 weeks ago and we worked out what our schedule was going to be, because I'm homeschooling as well, and it's really, really difficult. So that we're taking enough breaks for physical exercise, for playing cards with the kids in the evening, board games. You know, that's for the people who have children or are homeschooling at home. But also that you're eating at the regular times and that you're eating well and that you're staying connected. That's why I did the coffee morning, not Saturday gone, the Saturday before, because I could see people were going crazy. And I just wanted to create like a lighthouse situation where people could come and flock and just talk and communicate and ask questions and shoot the breeze. So, you know, you will see now, like for me, this is like a really long wedding. It brings out the best and worst in people. And if you know that you have a team member, Edwina, who is a leader and who's knocking it out of the park, you know, ask him to bring his A game and ask him to come with suggestions. But ask everybody in your team to come with suggestions. You know, give them the power. We can lead by encouraging them to lead as well at the same time. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And, you know, I have Zoom downloaded. We've agreed to connect in every Tuesday, no, every Wednesday at 12, which is midweek. So that gives you the start of the week to sort of pull together exactly what you're saying. And then it also gives you a bit of focus for the end of the week. And we'll do a link in. I've actually called it a link in on a Wednesday for everybody. So I'm certainly on the right track. There is
absolutely, but Edwina, I would do it daily.
You would do, yeah. You see, the
5
problem
minutes
is
in the morning.
Well, some of our hours have been cut, Nicola. So I picked a day that everybody is going to be working. So I'm at 3.5 days a week. Some are down to 3, some are down to 4. So not everybody is working every day. So I thought if we did it, that a day that we know everybody is actually working, and Wednesday was the one day that we seem to have everybody on board. Some at home. There's a skeleton staff with 2 in the office. That's all we're allowing in the office. And you know, we have the BMWs already. I've already had some of them on Friday. So but listen, over my head, I'm not going to absorb it. I'll not be an absorber.
Woman, so, I'm loving the language you're using, Edwina.
Yeah. So this is our first week, and probably our first of many by the looks of it. But we're still doing business. We're still selling houses. You know, we're still keeping in touch with our clients, and it's just the new norm, the new way of doing things. You know, so
can I make another suggestion, Edwina?
Yeah.
Okay. See the way you're saying there that, you know, the hours have been cut and some people are on 3 or 4 days or whatever. I appreciate that we don't want to be disturbing people on days off with work. But the people whose hours have been cut will be, you know, at a loose end now and would probably feel like a duck out of water because they've been so busy for so long that the 5-minute call in the morning doesn't even have to be about business, Edwina. It just can be about connection.
Check-in. Yeah,
you know,
good idea.
And making sure that they're okay. Give it to them as if I were you, I would give it to them as an option rather than you need to be there. Because if you set the tone of what the call is like and what it's going to be about, they might be, because it's push versus pull. You don't want to push them into it. You want to be pulling them towards it. Colin is looking to say something there.
Yeah,
I like that.
If I may come in on that, Edwina, great way, and it's great to see the interaction between the two of you. And I understand where you're coming from, Edwina, picking Wednesday, they're all on duty, that makes perfect sense. Also understand where Nick is coming from. And one way...
I'm sorry, Colin, give me two dog. I'm multitasker.
That's okay.
No.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
So one way of perhaps bridging the thing between Nicola's every day and your Wednesday is, you know, you offer to go on like we've come on here. You offer to say, I'm going to be on at 9 o'clock in the morning. I'm going to have a cup of coffee and I'm going to just be available, and then invite them to come and join you or not. But I agree with Nick, no pressure. If you know,
Right.
Well,
that's good because, I'm not working today, technically, but I am. I'm still doing stuff. I'm doing emails. You know, I'm not getting paid for my work today, but that's okay because I look at this as an opportunity. Well, what I've learned here this morning, listening to you, and I will try and any opportunity I can get now to grow my mind over the next number of weeks. I know, but that's not everybody's strategy. They won't all. But no, that's a good idea. As you said, invite them to join me. If they join me, I can't force the hand. I can just try and encourage.
You offer to serve them by being there for 5 minutes every morning and see.
Okay, thank you.
Pleasure. Thank you for that question.
Super.
Have we a final question for young Nicola Connolly Byrne? I see Eamon Smith there. Eamon, welcome to the chat.
Thanks, Colin. Can you hear me?
Perfectly.
Nicola, thank you so much for your authenticity, for your non-judgmental space. I love who you are and what you give.
You're welcome.
So my question would be, so I know you'll understand my words. So a lot of what I'm working with myself on at the moment will be, what do I need to believe to create my desired reality, right? What I want to ask you, and going back to what Colin said at the start there about this morning, going down with the 10 Hail Marys and so on, and being in that space in the morning is something I'm still very much working with, and just coming back to present and being here and now. What I'd like to ask you, Nicola, would be, could you share maybe one of your, let's say, bedrock empowering beliefs that helps you come back into that kind of, that shifts your energy back into, okay, I'm here. What do I need to believe to create my desired reality? Could you share an empowering belief? Do you know one of your underlying...
Well, the first thing that I'll say to you is I'm just going to, would it be okay if I just critiqued the way you questioned that? Because I'm not going to be able to answer otherwise. So you said, what do I need to believe?
Straight there, right there, straight. What do you believe? What?
So
when you
straight
fall
off
in that space,
I don't need to believe anything.
Yeah.
What do I actually believe?
Yeah.
Okay. It's not looking outside and saying, oh look, they look like they believe in that, and they look like they believe in that. I'll have a little bit of that, and a little bit of this, and try and adopt it into your own life. No. What do you believe? What do you want? And what do you need? And then take action. Actual tangible action towards bringing that into your life. Listen, the law of attraction is wonderful. The law of reciprocity is wonderful. The law of karma is wonderful. But the law of attraction is only going to work if you take action. If you sit in your hands and sing Kumbaya all day, nothing's happening for you, pal. Okay? We need to have tangible action. But to go back to, you know, what's my bedrock of
Could you share an empowering belief that sort of drives you, that keeps you in that space? Yeah.
What drives me, that keeps me in this space, is that I know I am going to be okay. Simply, I'm more than okay, because I have always cared about my clients. I have always cared. I've always over-delivered no matter what. Kind of like what Edwina is saying there, I'm not being paid today, but I'm working anyway. You know, that has always been a high core value of mine, is to make sure that, because people will forget what you did, People will forget what you said, but they will never forget how you made them feel. And I know for sure that every single client, be a person, be a business, be a child, they feel and are being better after they have applied the tools. So being better is paramount to me, because if you're chasing the feeling, you'll be chasing it forever. But being better, and the feeling will come organically anyway. But I'm settled in myself knowing that because I care and I offer so much value, and I've never ever treated any of my clients like a customer, and they have never been transactional, okay? I am hell-bent about that. I get upset with people when I hear them referring to their clients as customers. It really, really agitates me, because that insinuates money. If you're chasing money, lads, you'll be chasing it forever. Chase your purpose, chase the feeling, chase your passions, chase the service. How can you be of service? I don't care if you don't have a social media platform. I don't care what it is that you do for a living. If you are not living a life of service, there's a big problem, people. If we're not giving back to people who are less fortunate than us, there's a big problem, people. If you're writing checks, not giving your time, there's a big problem, people. We need to give our time any way that we can, and we need to layer on the value with our clients so that they speak about you behind closed doors and you're somebody's dinner conversation. That's what I make sure. That's my intention every day. I make sure that I operate in such a way that somebody at the dinner table is talking about me in a positive light today.
Wow. Wow, wow, wow. There you go, Aaron Smith. You got far more than you bargained for that. Folks, I think we all got far more than we bargained for.
Thank you so much for sharing.
You're welcome.
I think we all got far more.
I'm actually, Colin, I'm going to jump on a call myself, and there's so much great stuff in there. I'm doing that anyway, just throw myself out there into the space and see what happens. I'm facilitating. Again, it's like just working without being paid, but just work and serve and do your best and learn as you go. I'm throwing myself out there and hosting a Zoom call at 12 and just see what we can do to help.
Speaking of 12, it's almost 12 now, and we promised we'd be finished. But Nicola, in fairness, she warned me, there's no way we're going to get this thing done in 20 minutes.
I knew it.
It was absolutely more than worth it. Nicola Connolly Byrne, an absolute pleasure. Folks, let's give her the deaf community clap. It's a great way of just showing her our appreciation for who you are.
You're welcome. You're welcome, lads.
Fantastic. Keep up the great work. Folks, it's been my pleasure hosting Nicola this morning, and for me this is wonderful. Right? All I do is come on and drink coffee and watch people interacting, and I get to learn loads and take loads of notes. This is win-win-win. Tomorrow morning, I've committed to doing this thing at coffee at 11 every morning, Monday to Friday, for as long as this thing lasts. So I've got some people lined up to come on, very interesting chats to be had. Dave Sheehan is joining me tomorrow. Dave is a high performance coach who works in the area of mind, body, health. And he's on tomorrow morning at 11 if you're around. And then I put together a sort of highlights reel of the interviews from last week. They went out as my Coffee with Colin Sunday offering last Sunday. I'll be doing the same again this week. But once again, Nicola Connolly Byrne, an absolute pleasure, darling. Stay well, stay in touch, and we'll see you on the other side.
Namaste.
Namaste, namaste. That's lovely.